Hi, I'm Brad Sugars and welcome to the Business Basics. Today what we're actually going to be looking at is a little more on the wealth side and how wealth creation happens. And well, very, very simply put, when it comes to wealth, you are your product. Let me explain that to you in a little way. If you work on you, you become better, therefore life becomes easier. If you go to work on yourself, you create a far better life. Jim Rohn said it to me when I was a kid. He said, work harder on yourself than you do on your job. You know, and as I became wealthy in my mind, then obviously I became wealthy in my pocket. It's a pretty simple concept, I guess. You got to learn before you can earn. And even I take that one step further and I say a very simple statement that when you show up, you know, I heard it first, I guess, when you show up, the teacher will. I always say it, when you show up, the business will. The business that you want to build will show up when you actually get there and know how to build it. You know, too often people want to put the cart before the horse. They think they can build this great business before they learn how to build a great business. Look, as you show up and as you create better results, then obviously the business shows up in the way that you are creating the results. I guess that leads me to this point, and I don't know how to put it other than very, very bluntly. You never get anything in your pocket until you've got it in your mind. The first place anything happens, W. Somerset Maugham said it, if nothing, if not at first, a dream. You've got to have it in your head, then you can get it in your heart, then you can get it in your mind. You know, then if it's in your head, your heart, your mind ultimately, which is the combination of the two, if it's in your head and your heart, therefore it's in your mind, then you can start experiencing it in real life. People always say, oh, you know, I don't get what I deserve. No, you get what you expect. You get what you create for yourself. The number of people that I meet where I have to say to them, listen, your life is exactly what you've planned it to be. And so, no, it's not what I wanted it to be. I said, I didn't say what you wanted it to be. I said what you planned it to be. So let's get some wealth in your mind by first getting you wealth knowledge in your mind. How do we get that wealthy thinking into your mind so that you know how to create wealth? You know, luckily enough for me, I've spent a lot of time learning this from a lot of teachers and then going and applying it so I could actually teach it to others. But the fact is, most of us are never taught this path and therefore never know how to get on it. You know, very simply, if you look at the wealth house, we have this house called wealth. Our job in the house called wealth is to climb two ladders. The first ladder that we want to climb is the ladder called cash flow. The cash flow ladder is first. The capital ladder is what we want to climb second. Now, what do I mean by these two? Firstly, let's understand why it's in that order. Cash flow and capital. If you had a choice of being asset rich or being cash flow rich, which one would you choose? See, I meet people who are asset rich and cash poor or cash flow poor, and they're struggling. Why? They got an asset, but they don't have any cash. They can't pay the bills on it. They can't live the life they wanted. The lifestyle's not there. Someone who's cash flow rich is far better off than someone who is asset rich. Now, someone who's both cash flow rich and capital rich, they're in an even better position. So, our first job is to climb the cash flow ladder. Our second job is to climb the capital ladder. Now, this goes with knowledge as well. Knowledge is vital. You cannot, the number of people I see, and I'm going to burn some bridges here, some people are going to be very upset with me. Stop learning how to invest your money if you don't make much money. You know, people going and borrowing money to go and do investing courses. You can't borrow to go to an investing course. You've got no money to invest. Okay, that's my little passionate outburst for the moment. You've got to learn how to make more cash flow. Let's take a look at that ladder. We start out life as a student. We move up and become an apprentice. You can see the different levels that we climb through here. As an employee, a manager, you start then your own business. Generally, you'll probably start a part-time business, or you'll go into network marketing, multi-level marketing, and start there. A brilliant starting point, by the way, for people to start learning business. You may or may not make your fortune in it, but at least you've started your learning and growth within the business. Then you'll move into self-employed. Then you'll end up managing your own business with your own employees. Eventually you'll get to a point where you're leading your own business, where you've got managers in place and now you're the figurehead or the leader of the business. And ultimately you get to a point where the business runs without you. That's called passive income. You'll see this ladder. It's really simple. Bottom of the ladder, active income. Top of the ladder, passive income. Until you've created passive income for yourself, there's not much use learning to invest. You know, you will learn to invest along the way, but only basic capital investing. We'll get to that in a moment. But our main job in life is to first learn how to get ourselves to large income and then large passive income. There is very little use, my friend, being a good investor of money that doesn't exist. Being a great property investor when you don't have enough to deposit on a property is not fun. You've got to be able to understand your job. See, are there people in your neighbourhood making a lot more money than you? Are there people in your city making millions of dollars a year in income, in cash flow? Yes, there are. So what are you doing to learn how to emulate, to learn how to do what they're doing? How many books are you reading on it? How many courses are you attending on the subject? Remember, you spent most of your life in study learning how to get to what level? Yeah, apprentice or employee, maybe manager or leader if you went to college. But you're only halfway or not even halfway up the cash flow ladder, and you're nowhere near passive. So remember, it's going to take more learning to get yourself from learning how to have active income, that is income if you show up, it shows up, to learning how to have passive income, that is income that shows up whether you do or not. Then we've got to go across to the capital ladder. So we've climbed the cash flow ladder. We've now got big income. If you've got big income, you can start on the capital ladder. I'd prefer it was big passive income before you started on the capital ladder, but it's okay if you start at big income. Now, when you get to the capital ladder, there's going to be some interesting things going on here. Why? You have to start at the bottom, where you're buying assets. You have to use the money you've created on the cash flow ladder through your own business, because that's ultimately the best form of cash flow generated there can be, for passive cash flow anyway. Then we want to move across to the capital ladder. You're going to be paying retail when you buy first up. You're going to have to learn all three asset classes: how to buy businesses as an investment, how to buy properties as an investment, how to buy into the stock market as an investment. Now, stocks includes shares, it includes warrants, options, it includes futures, it includes commodities, foreign exchange and currency exchange. All of these different aspects that ultimately you can pick 1 or 10 or 20 of them. See, in property, you don't have to invest in every type of property, just the one you really like. On the stock market, you don't have to invest in every type of stock or every type of commodity that there is or every type of instrument, but you do have to learn the ones you like and go and invest in those. Now, by the way, definition point here, for you to be an investor, you can only be an investor once you have a written set of rules. A written set of rules. Until you have a written set of rules, you're not an investor, you're a speculator. Understand the difference. An investor is someone who has enough knowledge to write a set of rules. I will buy this type of property. I will only buy it at these ratios. I will only buy it at this point. I will only buy, and so on. They're your rules of what you'll buy and when you'll buy them. That's an investor. By the way, for something to qualify as an investment, my 2 rules. Number 1, for something to be an investment, it must have capital growth, and number 2, it must have cash flow. If it doesn't have both, it's not an investment. People go and buy art and say, "There's my art, it's a great investment." No, 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 it's not an investment. It's a speculative idea that you've gone and bought into. But it's got to have cash flow and it's got to have capital growth for it to be an investment. That's why there's those 3 categories. Now, ultimately, you get more knowledge. As you get more knowledge and you get more capital available, you can move into wholesale buying. So now you're going to start buying more in bulk. You're going to start buying at discount at purchase because you've got more knowledge on how to negotiate. You've got more ability to buy in bulk. You're going to buy businesses better. You're going to buy properties better. You're going to buy stocks at cheaper prices. Why? Well, once you become, well, it depends on what country you're in, a sophisticated, a professional or an accredited investor, you start to participate in wholesale deals on the stock market. Far better deals than you do at retail. In fact, you could be paying super retail. If you're putting money into a mutual fund or something similar, then you're not only paying retail for the shares, but you're also paying a fee to have someone pay retail for your shares. That's a funny thing to learn, isn't it? And you wonder why the returns aren't as high as they would be if you knew what you were doing. Well, you get return based on the amount of knowledge you have. Ultimately, then, you want to get to the top level of this ladder. Now you're no longer buying into investments. Yes, you bought retail, then you bought wholesale. Great way to invest, because at retail you pay and they get the profit up front. At wholesale, you get the profit up front because you're buying at wholesale. Ultimately, we want to get to where we're selling investments. where now what we're doing is we're actually creating companies that we will either take to a public offering, an IPO. We're creating companies that we'll franchise. We're creating property developments that we will sell. We're creating companies that we will do, we're renting our shares out. We're writing covered calls. These are things that we'll ultimately get to as a more sophisticated, more professional, accredited investor, where we're selling deals as an entrepreneur, not buying into deals as an investor. Very big difference between them. But there's two ladders we've got to climb. Climb the first ladder first, the second ladder second, both in knowledge and in doing. Learn how to climb the first ladder first. Don't bother trying to learn the second ladder until you've mastered the first one. Then climb that second ladder. Make sure active income, passive income. Make sure buying investments, selling investments. This is the ultimate growth path that a wealthy person will create. This is the knowledge you've got to learn and the path you've got to follow. I'm Brad Sugars, and these are the business basics.